Hello, it's Jeff Giberman again, your favorite registered dietitian. What is a registered dietitian? Well, we are like food doctors. We practice medical nutrition therapy, and we know a whole lot more about food and nutrition and your health than your doctor, your family members, and your friends. So today's video is about protein. Protein's a big one because in a diet heavy industry in America, protein is kind of the only nutrient that hasn't been demonized because it's healthy for building muscle. But we'll talk a little bit more about that so you can see if you agree with that. So protein is a building block and muscle recovery nutrient. Obviously, your muscles have protein in them, and so do a lot of other tissues and cells in your body. Um, Protein is also a source of calories. So again, macronutrients, which are the big food molecules that make up what your body uses for energy and building blocks. So protein, fat, and carbohydrates. So you need to eat enough of a balance of these three to get enough total calories for the day. If you don't, it's kind of like running on empty or trying to go to Mexico on like half a tank of gas, which can play into energy levels and all kinds of things, and metabolic activities. Butchered that word. Um, so the different kinds of protein, there's complete and incomplete proteins. So what is an incomplete protein? Well, that's one that doesn't have a high level of all the different essential amino acids. So for example, that's why it's important if you're not eating meat at a meal, but you have a protein source that's not complete, you want to combine them together so that you are getting all those essential amino acids. So for example, rice and beans. So rice has some essential amino acids that beans don't have, and the same thing with beans. They have some essential amino acids that rice doesn't have. But together, they make a pretty complete protein. So it can replace things like milk, dairy, and animal products. There are lots of complete types of protein. So the complete types of proteins are one that have all the essential amino acids that your body needs. So think about like milk, meats, cheese, eggs, uh, animal products, dairy. Those are all complete proteins. You know, whey protein powder, complete proteins. Um, so how much do you need? So that's a pretty controversial question. Most people tend to avoid some other nutrients if they're trying to eat a certain way. Maybe they're an athlete and they just think that protein shakes are really important. Well, if you're a soccer athlete and you're just drinking protein shakes, you're probably missing out on a lot of nutrition because you burn a lot of energy playing soccer. So you need to add things with the protein shake to have it be a complete or balanced meal or snack. Um, so how much do you need? Well, it really depends. You can use equations online to figure it out. I do this all the time, so I like to just kind of give general estimates. I find it easier. A big guy like me might need anywhere from 70 to 120 grams of protein per day, depending on my activity level, maybe even more if I have a really high activity level like an athlete. I just do gentle yoga and a lot of walking right now because I'm working on improving my back health. They say you're only as old as your spine, so it's a good time in your 30s to get a healthy, nice spine from yoga and some walking before I do anything else like weight training again. If you're a high school sports player, you might need just as much protein as me. You might need between 70 and 120 or 130 grams per day. The interesting thing about protein is that your body can only digest so much at a time. And there's actually research showing that if you eat too much protein throughout the day, not only can it in the long term impact your kidney health, but it can actually also um, prevent your body from having efficient protein synthesis in your body, which is kind of interesting. So there was a study that they did. We went over in grad school that they did biopsies, which means they took muscle tissue out of athletes after they did a leg workout. And then they did different doses of protein. So they had 5 grams of protein. Then another time they did the workout and they had 10 grams. And then they had 20 grams and 30 and 40 grams to see how does this muscle protein synthesis, how is it impacted by the different doses of protein. So they found that 20 grams is kind of that sweet spot for muscle recovery. So for that purpose, the limitations of that study is that it was liquid protein, so there might be a difference if it's protein that's digested slower through a meal that might impact muscle recovery. a little differently, but as a general rule of thumb, I usually say that you don't need more than 20 to 40 grams of protein at a meal. Females closer to that 20, 25 grams, maybe 30 grams, and males, you really don't need more than 30 grams, but sometimes it's okay to have a little bit of extra of something at a meal. But you definitely don't need more than that 40 grams of protein at a meal. So if you're an athlete or you're just trying to get a good balance of protein in your diet, the best way to eat protein is split up throughout the day with your different meals and snacks. I usually say at least have it with 3 of your meals and snacks a day just to make sure you're getting enough. Because if you think about it, let's say you have 20 grams breakfast, 20 grams lunch, 20 grams for dinner. Well, that's 60 grams, which is kind of a good mediocre minimum amount for most people, actually. Um, if you're an older person that's in the hospital and you're losing weight, well, you might need more, 80 to 100 grams of protein. But you definitely want to make sure you're at least getting that bare minimum of like 50 to 60 grams of protein per day. And again, there's a lot of equations online that can help you figure out how much protein you would need in a day. Protein does not really impact your insulin regulation that much, but it does help keep you full. So, insulin is a hormone that puts your body into fat storing mode or building up mode, like building up muscle. So, sometimes you do need to eat some carbohydrates, which put your insulin a little higher, so that carbohydrate can get stored in your muscle too. A lot of people think muscle is just protein, but you actually have a lot of carbohydrate stores in your muscle, which is how your body uses energy for a workout. So as you're doing your workout, you're actually breaking down carbohydrate energy from your muscles. You want to make sure you have enough of that so that your body's not breaking down too much of the protein. Even though it's kind of weird because your body breaks down the protein and then rebuilds it back up stronger, which is a whole other detailed video maybe to come in the future. Not enough protein is important over time. If you're lacking protein, you can tell by you might have ridges in your nails, or if you have thin or dry hair, or you have dry skin. Those are all signs of not getting enough protein. So I think I covered most of what I wanted to cover. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a question in the comments, and I'd be more than happy to answer your question. Thank you.